Gururvishnu Gurudevo Maheshwara Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Yata sarvani bhutani pratibhanti stitani cha yatraivo pashamam yanti tasmai satyatmane namaha. I heard a fire alarm going off. So we are still in the section on the story of Labana. Last week we did the 7 stages of ignorance. This week we start on the 7 stages of knowledge. So where are we in the book, Mark?
Chapter 7, number 60. 60.
Should I start?
Please.
Section 4. Jnana Bhumika, the steps of knowledge. Jnanasya bhumikanam tvam adhya nirvachanam shrinu. You hear now the declaration as to the steps of knowledge.
So this is one of the most famous sections of this text. Many people make reference to it. And there's some very subtle things that we'll address as we get into it. There's one of my favorite little books. It's called The Spiritual Teachings of Ramana Maharshi. You were unable to locate that in the library, Michael, was that right?
Yeah, I couldn't find it.
Okay, I've lost it. Anyway.
I have it actually. I bought it from you.
Oh, okay, that's where it is.
How long ago?
So in one particular section, there's a questioner who asks about the 7 stages of knowledge. And his question is, to which of the 7 stages of knowledge does the jnani belong? So let's see where it happens. Going on.
Kimudha iva tisthami preksheham shastra sajjanaihi vairagya purvamichheti shubhechetya uchyate budhaihi. Why do I stand as if perplexed? I shall reflect with the scriptures and virtuous people. The wish that arises thus, preceded by absence of worldly desires, is called the auspicious or virtuous wish by the wise.
Subhecha. This is the first step. So the Tibetan Buddhists have a very interesting paradigm. They call it the human realm, the realm of the gods, and the realm of the hungry ghosts. These realm of the gods and the realm of the hungry ghosts are not places we necessarily go to after we die. They're not worlds that we can tune into. They are states of consciousness. what is the realm of the gods? That's when I'm hitting all the green lights of life. It's working for me. I got the job, I've got the money, I've got the house, I've got the wife, I've got the 2.3 children and the dog. My friends like me, everything is good. And I just, I'm cruising along. The problem is, we can call this punya loka in Sanskrit, in the Hindu tradition, is it's always temporary. What happens is when the punya runs out, all the goodies start to fall away. And then we descend from the realm of the gods into the realm of the hungry ghosts. And the hungry ghosts, they have a head with a big mouth, but no body. So they keep eating and eating and eating, and they never get filled up because the food just goes right on through. So this is when we fall from the realm of the gods and we start the really intense struggle with willpower, and we're going to make it happen. And all of a sudden we start to get into control issues and violence against ourselves and other people. I've gotta get back to, or get there for the first time, to the realm of the gods. Does this sound familiar? Have you ever been there? Do you have friends who've ever been in the realm of the hungry ghosts? Where you're not satisfied. Nothing satisfies you. We're usually filled with bhaya, fear, krodha, anger. So sadhana can only be done from the human realm, Manusya Loka. What does it mean? It means we are at that place between Swarga and Naraka, between the realm of the gods and the realm of the demons or the hungry ghosts. Punya Loka, Papa Loka. And we start to question things. We look around and we see everybody, I'm not sure I want to do this, or these values I want. So going back, there you were at Meta, and you had the insight, I don't want these particular values. Wasn't that part of your insight?
Yeah.
That's called the human realm. You investigate. And so we begin to develop subhaj, the auspicious desire. We start to inquire about the spiritual path. Which of the many paths should I take? Should I be a Sufi? Should I be a Hindu? Should I be a Christian? Should I do this? Should I do rituals? Should I traipse off to Tibet? What should I do? But we have what I call the divine discontent. I'm looking for something with meaning and purpose in my life. You folks wouldn't be here if you hadn't had that first step. Subhaj, auspicious desire. Any thoughts on this? Going on.
Shastra Sajjana Sarpa Shastra Sajjana Sar Samparka Vairagyabhyasa Purvakam Sadachara Pravrittarya Prochyate Sa Vicharana. preceded by association with the scriptures and virtuous people and the practice of dispassion, the inclination towards virtuous conduct is called reflection or investigation.
Yes, vichara. So what happens? I begin to associate with the wise, sadhu, sangha. I get an exposure to the scriptures. I may hang out with other people at a retreat or something like that. And then I, based on the instructions of the scriptures, hopefully informed by a teacher, I begin investigation. I begin vichara. Vichara comes from the root vich. What's vich mean?
To separate, you know.
Yes, just like to separate the wheat from the chaff. So that's what we are to do. We're to develop the capacity to inquire, to investigate, to see what's really going on. We begin to start our practice of vairagya. Shankara defines vairagya as that desire to give up attachment to all experiences gained through the senses and to let go of any personal sense of self, starting with the body up to and including the form of Brahma, the Creator. All of those. If I think I'm a person, that's not it. Let it go. So, vichara, second stage. Any questions about this? Next one.
Vicharana shubhe chabhyam indriyartheshva saktata yatra sa tanuta bhavat prochate tanumanasa. Non-attachment to the objects of senses by means of reflection and virtuous wish, which thinness arises here out of thought or resolution, is called the state of thin mind.
Tanu manasaha, the thinning of the mind. Sometimes also called purity of mind. What was the term you used? Chitta shuddhi? Yep. Yeah, pure mind. Now, a pure mind or a thin mind doesn't mean goody-goody thoughts as opposed to vulgar thoughts. It means reducing the frequency and the volume of thought. We have fewer thoughts. We're letting go of thoughts about attachment, thoughts about how am I doing? Am I okay? What do they think of me? Because of auspicious desire, because of investigation, discrimination, and dispassion, the mind thins out. This is also can be seen as the purgation of the vasanas, all of our attachments and identifications. And easily the mind can stay absorbed, introverted, not extroverted into the world. Tanu manasa, thinness. I wonder if you get the word tenuous from tanu. All right. Number 4.
भूमिका तृतीयाभ्यासात् चित्तेऽर्थ विरते वशात् सत्यात्मनि स्थिति शुद्धे सत्त्वापत्तिरुदाह्यता. By the practice of the above 3 steps and by the power of the cessation of desires, when the mind becomes pure, the abiding in the true self is declared to be entering into being.
What was the Sanskrit for entering into being? Tattva something?
Sattva patti ruda rita.
Sattva, Pati, Rudha,
Rita, like the heart.
Rhythm, yeah. So this is the stage of self-realization. When all of the vasanas have been exhausted, all of our attachments and identifications have been let go. The mind thunders to a stop. Only needs to be momentarily. And the mind clearly apprehends the no thingness of the sound. I clearly see I'm not a person. How long will this take? That's karmic. It depends on how intense is your mumukshudva, your burning desire for the It depends on how gross the mind is, how thick your desire bundle is. It can happen very quickly. It may take years or decades. I had one student, former Army officer from the South. I want to learn to meditate. So we start, I give him some meditation practice. And it was like the 3rd or 4th time we met. Sitting right there on the couch. I said, okay, I'm going to teach you subject object discrimination. Very simple, like a game. If you can see it, that in you. Can you see the candle on the table? Yes. Are you a candle puller? You're the one looking at the candle. Went through, you were not the body, you were not the feeling, you were not the thought. So now just listen to the traffic. And who hears it? And his mind just went thought. And all this Shakti just went whoosh. And he goes, oh, who's the who? Very clear, direct apprehension of his essential nature. Now, Shankara uses a very wonderful example. In the South, when the ladies are going down to the tank, they have algae in the tanks, and the algae eats the bacteria, and that way they don't get sick. The ladies go like this. Move the algae aside, then they get the potable clean water. But then the algae comes back. So for many of us, even though we have a very clear aparoksha jnanam, direct experience of who I am, because all the vasana isn't gone, Ignorance returns, and then I re-identify. So you have knowledge of the self, but you don't yet have sthita, pragya, steady wisdom. You may not yet be a full knower of the Supreme. Well, there's work to do. How do I know I need to do work? What's the slogan I like to give you? If I think I'm a person, I'm deluded. So simple. So in this fourth stage is also the annihilation of all the vasanas here and now. So that you're not only a full knower of the Supreme, but to some degree your mind has retired into the Supreme. Now, in this book that I was referencing by Ramana Maharshi, this particular questioner says, Bhagawan, in which of the 7 stages of knowledge does the jnani belong? And you think he'd say the 7th, of course. He doesn't. He says the 4. That's the stage of full knowledge of the self, retiring or abiding. What does it mean? I know I am Brahman. And then the questioner says, if that be so, then why have 3 more superior to it been listed in the scripture? And Bhagawan says, these are not stages of bondage or release. These have to do with the experiences of the realized soul. You could say they are post-enlightenment samadhis. Oh, I want that. Oh. And then he says, they are not to be achieved by mere will or effort. In fact, if you're making efforts to have some wackadoodle samadhi, you're not even a jnani yet. The mark of the person of steady wisdom is they've given up making all efforts. Their heart's at rest. There's nothing more to do. They are karmic. They're the result of meritorious actions done in many lifetimes. Punya. So, for example, Bhagawan Ramana Maharshi attained enlightenment after half an hour of sadhana when he was 16 years of age. Then he goes off to Tiruvannamalai and he lives in the crypt of the temple there in the basement for 11 years in silence. This kid. People couldn't make up their minds, is this a saint or is this some crazy kid? They fed him. And in the biographies, this is called seeming tapas. So what he was drawn to do, couldn't help himself. This deep immersion in the self, burning out all this extroversion. He goes and lives on the hill. And he didn't start talking again until people started to beg him. How did you do this? He had a long life serving the society. So this explains why different jnanis seem to have different experiences. You'll see some Swami and they're very learned and they seem very peaceful, but not a lot of juice, not a lot of Shakti. Then you meet someone else, God, this person is God. Then if we have the great merit to meet a Mahatma like Ramana Maharshi or Anandamayi Ma, she couldn't even feed herself at times. Or Ramakrishna, you would just say the word God and off he'd go into samadhi. So now understanding this, do you have questions about this? If it is given your equipment by grace to have these extraordinary samadhis, it will come and you will have the natural, intuitive desire to continue to practice, to absorb your mind in the end. But it may be given you not to do that. You may be a man or woman of knowledge downtown. And what's given you to do is serve the society in the marketplace or with the family. Or samadhi may not be that deep. You can't percent. Yeah, but I want that. Now you have to renounce the bliss of samadhi. If it happens, great. Any thoughts on this? This is a place where a lot of people have doubt and get stuck. All right, with this in mind, let's go on to the Panchabhumika.
Jim, I just have a thought or question.
Yes.
Could you just comment more on attachment to bliss or states or samadhi?
You may have times when you get super high and it's super ecstatic, and then your mind returns to ordinary mind and you want to get back there. And what it's like trying to step on the head of your shadow. The more you struggle to get back there, the more it proceeds. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're not saying that when those states of bliss happen, you have to like stop them. Or
No.
anything, or not.
Give great thanks.
Okay, but just not to be
You can't
looking
be attached
for it.
Well,
or
you can't struggle for it. Remember, if you're struggling, then you don't yet understand what jnana is.
Right. But there's nothing wrong with
No,
that.
there's nothing
Okay.
wrong with it.
I'm glad I asked that.
No, this is a very important point. And you may find that if you've got a shallow samadhi, no matter how much you meditate, it doesn't seem to get a whole lot deeper. And you have to be humble and content
With that.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. How deep it becomes is the result of karma.
And is that more how long that state stays, or
So
it's just like
knowledge of the self is like a zero. You either see it or you don't. How deeply the mind can revel in Brahman is like trying to count to the highest number. There's no end. You know, someone will come, oh, I'm so blissed out, I'm so blissed out. And I tune into it, oh, it's so shallow. And it varies. It's an endless variety of experience, of waves of bliss. Not static in any way, shape, or form. And they're all mind states, understand. They're all mind states. And it's wonderful when we get a chance to meet a Mahatma whose samadhi is incredibly deep. And we get a chance to taste of the borrowed glory of their tapas. It's just such a joy to sit in their, we call it darshan. You know, I get darshan from this person. From the root drish, to see, we see the infinite. But then you know, they go away or you go away. We have to own it ourselves. Let me give a worldly example. When I was teaching music at Cal State Hayward, at night, I would walk around the music building, and on the ground floor were all the practice rooms. It was actually a donut-shaped building. And you could tell who was going to make it, who was going to have a career as a professional musician. And it frequently wasn't always the people with the great voices and stuff like that. It was the people who loved to practice. You'd see some kid in there on his saxophone going through all his modes as a jazz musician. Or other people just jamming, having a blast. Doesn't mean we don't work, but that's different. Oh God, I've got to practice the piano. Well, you played violin.
Yes, I was that kid.
Was it always a burden to have to
Yes.
practice?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you a professional violinist?
No.
It ain't gonna happen. You have to love practice, or it ain't gonna happen. Do you understand the principle?
Yeah.
You all know Setu?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, he's a kind of kid that after he comes home from work, you know what he does for fun in his spare time? He gets on the computer. No wonder he's really good at what he does. Were you one of those?
I was, yeah.
Yeah. You loved it. To me, it's mysterious and always frustrating. But I suspect you're a reasonably good programmer because of it. Do you still play on the computer?
Yeah, I think the intensity of it has certainly changed, but yeah, I still enjoy it.
Yeah. Mauricio, you all know my friend Mauricio?
Mm-hmm.
He speaks 9 or 10 languages now. I was talking with him about a month ago, and I said, what are you doing lately? Oh, I've decided I'm going to learn Japanese. He really loves learning languages. So that is the kind of joy that deepens our samadhi. Maybe.
I have found that the more I practice, the more I enjoy it.
Yes.
It used to be a burden, meditation especially, and now I love it. But it took some time to love it. Yeah.
But now, if naturally, without effort, you're drawn to this, and you may not. Liberation comes when you know you're not a person and you have that supreme detachment, which brings us peace. But let's see what these last 3 stages are. Number 5.
Dasha Chat Dasha Chatushta Vyasat Asan. Sorry. Dasha Chatushtaya Bhyasat Asang Phale Nacha Rudha Sattva Chamatkara Prokta Sansakti Namika, where the spectacle of pure being has shot forth by the practice of the above four stages as a result of non-attachment, it is called by the name non-union.
Yes, asangaha, asaktaha, what is it?
Asangsangaha.
Asangsangaha?
Yeah.
Double. Okay, so the idea here is when the mind is not just thin, and you not only know you are Brahman all the time, but that knowledge is shot through. No inside, no outside. You watch the movie of this world, and your mind's at peace. This is the seeing of the self in and through all the objects and experiences of the world. Before that, your mind may react, okay, I'm not a reaction. But you can get to the point where mind barely moves in and through. That's the fifth stage. Sixth stage.
Bhumika Panchaka Bhyasat Swatma Ramayata Dridam Abhyantara Abhyantara Pranam Bahyanam Padarthanam Abhavanat Chiram Paraprayuktena Pratyenava Bodhanam Padartha Bhavana Nama Shashti Sanjayate Gatihi. From the practice of the above five steps and the absence of the thought of inner and outer objects due to the state of being delighted in one's own self thoroughly, the perception arising out of the effort directed towards the Supreme Spirit for a long time, called non-ideation of objects, which is the sixth stage of knowledge, arises.
So these are those Mahatmas whose minds are so absorbed in the self. Shankara calls it having retired into the Supreme. No mind left. No inside, no outside. When we're around people who are here in the sixth stage, oh, you can start to really feel it. They have what the Christians call the odor of sanctity. Isn't that a great phrase? Not a whole lot of engagement or involvement with the world. Reality of the mind absorbed in Brahma is so intense. I think this is what Jesus meant when he said, I have overcome the world. And in the world, but not of it. Seen, but not. Now the last stage, the Saptabhumi.
Bhumi Shat Kachari Bhumi Shat Kachirabhyasat Bheda Bhetsyanupalabhyatah Yat Swabhavaikanishthatvam Sagneya Turyaga Gatihi. By the long practice of the above 6 steps and by the non-cognition of division or difference, that state of fixity in one's own being which arises should be known as the conditioning of going into or staying in the 4th state of consciousness.
So here we have a different use of the phrase or the word turiya. Turiya was introduced to us when we studied Mandukya Upanishad, where the scripture talks about Om is divided into Chatushpada, 4 quarters. Remember that?
Mhm.
A, U, Ma, and silence. Waking state, dream state, deep sleep state. Here it's the 4th in our series of discussion. It's not another mind state. It's another name for the self. But Yoga Vasishtha uses the term in a little bit different way. Since, of course, it's the self. But there are those great saints whose minds are so merged in Brahman. They barely see the world. There used to be stories of Anandamayi Ma. She couldn't even feed herself sometimes. It's gone. It's complete. Now, why is this section important, these last 3 stages? So when I was in the ashram, going back 50 years, there was a group of people who had as their particular mind state judging and measuring my guru is bigger and better than your guru. Well, Chinmaya may be realized, but Baba Bhaktananda is fully. And then I remember when the great Sri Lankan master Guru Bawa came to town. He said, "Oh, he's completely fully realized." So did they know more self? But their samadhi was deeper. Actually, I'm friends with one of the ladies who was actually in the ashram. She's now an Amaji devotee. Well, Amaji's beyond realization. She's an avatar. Now listen carefully. The depth of experience of your guru is not an essential function for your liberation. It's like the skinny fellow who belongs to the gym. Says, my trainer was Mr. Universe. Got skinny arms and skinny legs. That's no good. Mr. Universe is your trainer if you don't work out. So Shankara says a person must have purushartha. Paurusha. What's that mean?
Self-effort.
Self-effort. Or Gita says a person raises themselves into the self. Yes, it's all by God's grace. But you could have the greatest guru in the world. You or I don't do the work. And if you have an intense desire for liberation, a rock will arrive. Guru is a temporary psychological device. Best thing the guru can do is show you the valid means of knowledge. No, you So this is a wonderful and very important section. Now, one last comment on when we're around a Mahatma and we get blasted with the Shakti. Much of that is karmic. One very devoted and serious disciple can be around a guru. That's, oh, this guy's just out there. Someone else can say, nice guy, but I get nothing. I really am connected with Amaji here, this guru. Go, yeah, nice, but it's not my spiritual home. I am not hers. So in the end, it's pointless to endeavor to suss out the mind states of somebody else. Well, how do I know if my teacher is the real McCoy? If you feel drawn to them and you're getting value, and most importantly, if when you're with the teacher, your mind is turned back upon your own self. You're not left with the idea, oh, Guruji is so great, marvelous. But, oh, I see. I am that Chidakash, that space of pure awareness. Then the Guru's done a good job. All right. Any thoughts or questions about the Sapta Jnana Bhumikas?
Yeah, I got a thought or a comment. I don't really know yet. Someone like Ramana, whether he was, say, eating food in samadhi, having a blissful state, it would have been self, self, self. The states are inconsequential because it's all self. So here, when it's talking about depth or stages, if it's all self, then from that perspective, don't these become inconsequential?
Make sure you don't rationalize your suffering. This is the big problem. You can be in a place where you say all mind states are inconsequential. So my suffering is inconsequential. The fact I got really angry at that policeman and tried to hit him is inconsequential. It's completely an illusion that I'm in handcuffs and in jail. So you don't want to use the Vedantic rationalization. Did that make sense? Yeah. So you've got to be very careful. You are right. But this idea of this absorption in the self is manonasha. It's the destruction of the mind. The mind no longer extroverts. Now, You may be at the fourth stage, where you have complete knowledge of yourself. You know all your mind states are illusory. You still have desire. You still have reaction. You know they're fundamentally unreal. It doesn't bother you. That's fine. But there are stages beyond that. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
And again, like Bhagawan was saying, moksha happens at the fourth stage. If you're making efforts, oh, I want a wackadoodle experience, and you're jonesing for it, you haven't grasped what's the mark of the jnani. All our striving cease. Kartavya is gone. Was that useful?
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to be humble. All right, going on,
Jim, can I ask a question?
please.
So I'm thinking about the thinning of the mind. You know,
Yes.
that part where, the thoughts just get farther and farther and farther apart. I also see in my life that I'm very called and committed to serving the community. That work directly affects the thinning of my mind. Like the amount of work it takes to kind of keep letting that stuff go, to keep those thoughts from rising and continuing to come up. Because I mean, by the time it's 9 o'clock in the morning, my to-do list, what I've accomplished already and had to think through is a lot. But serving the community is a good thing, but could that be negatively impacting me as
You
well?
will intuitively know. So there were two wonderful gurus, both of them Jagat gurus. One was Swami Chidananda, who was the head of the Divine Life Mission, and he was Guru Bhai, meaning they both took sannyas at the same time from the same Diksha Guru, Chinmayananda. Chidananda was much more introverted, did not do all the traveling and the writing that Chinmaya did. They say, oh, Chinmaya, he's all Shanti so that we can be Shanti. So Chinmaya worked tirelessly. He only slept 4 hours a night. He had a nap in the afternoon. Wrote 40 books. Traveled all over the world. Literally died in the midst of giving a camp. Constant working for the good of the society, for serving the society. It's what he felt his mission was. But he was a man of the deepest realization. That's karma. His Jnana Guru, Swami Tapovanam, wouldn't work with more than 3 students at a time. Lived up in Rishikesh, and in the warm season, he'd go up further to Uttarkashi. He'd just take off, wander in the Himalayas. He wouldn't come down onto the Gangetic plain because the mind state was so loose. But these are karmic. Nisargadatta Maharaj came from a low caste family. His father was a domestic servant, then decided to become a farmer. Then Nisargadatta met a guru. He only worked with him for 2 years. His guru died. And he kept doing the self-inquiry. At one point he left, and he had a family with children. He left, went up to the Himalayas, And then he came back. He lived in Mumbai, had a beady store, he sold cigarettes, and an apartment above it. Man of the highest wisdom, but lived a very humble, worldly life. Sold cigarettes. So there's no one way for the jnani to be in the world. And not everyone's given the particular karma to teach. That's just another effing job. It's a good one. But it's no mark of someone's deep experience. I remember I was in Coimbatore, and someone from the mission said, "You need to go see this woman. She's one of Chinmaya's first disciples. She was a widow living in an apartment." So a couple of us went over there, rang the bell, went to see her. This little old lady sitting on the couch watching television. But just out there. Just sat with her. Deep, deep abidance in the self. But totally unpretentious life. Is that helpful?
It is. Thank you.
You'll know what to do. You'll know what to do. What we call prarabdha, the karma of this particular life. All right. Next verse.
Ye hi Rama Mahabhaga Saptami Bhumikam Gata Atma Rama Mahatmanaha Te Mahat Padamagataha. Rama, those blessed ones who have gone to the seventh stage of knowledge, they, the great ones who delight in the self, have indeed arrived at the supreme state.
Yes. And the term that's used here is Atmaramana. Ram Ramati means to revel in the self. Renounce, realize, the three arms. How do you revel in the self? You're one who sits in meditation, deep samadhi. Or are you one who sings the Lord's praises? Is that your way of reveling? Do you write poetry? Do you take care of your children? There's a story of Swami Tapovanam who walked all the way from Uttarkashi to the Sharada temple, which is high up in the Himalayas. It's now in Pakistan. I'm not good with geography. How many miles do you think that is?
500 plus.
Yeah, he walked in. Very, very famous Devi temple. It's now, because of earthquakes, it's in not good repair. But during the early part of the 20th century, it was very, very famous Devi temple. And so what did he do while he was there? chanted and sang hymns and praises to the goddess. Well, it's not that what you worship here. It's all, everything is Brahman. Yeah, but that was his idea of a good time. Singing praises to the mother. Why not? Always knowing what is the source of happiness, it is the self. The Shayananda, the bliss of the objects, is still only the self. All right, next one.
जीवन मुक्तेषु चैषा हि तुर्यावस्थेह विद्यते विदेह मुक्ति विषय तुर्यातीत मत param. In those who are liberated while living, only this fourth state of consciousness exists. After this is the state beyond the fourth, which is the scope of liberation without the body.
Yes. So what the tradition says for these great Mahatmas, for anyone who's Jivan Mukta, liberated while alive. They die, the physical body goes back to the physical elements. The subtle body dissolves back to the subtle elements. There's nothing left. This is called Videha Moksha, liberation beyond the body. Now listen carefully. In truth, there is no distinction. What is the mark of a person of steady wisdom? They know they're not the body. So if you're wearing shoes or not wearing shoes, are you your shoes? Make sure you don't hang on to the idea, oh, it's such a terrible life, there's so much suffering. I can't wait till I'm liberated beyond the body and I don't have to put up with this anymore. That's not freedom. A person of steady wisdom is totally willing for it to be just like this for the rest of eternity. And if it's going to be just like this for the rest of eternity, what are you going to do? Give the big middle finger to the world. Next one.
Bhumika saptakam chaitat dhimatameva gocharaha. These 7 stages of knowledge are accessible only to the intelligent ones.
And more than intelligent to the subtle ones. To those who have lived 100 crores of lives intelligently and have mumoksha, burning desire for liberation. Next one. Is that the end of it?
Yeah. Section 5.
Okay, we have only 5 more minutes. I think we'll quit a little early tonight. Very important section, very lovely. Any thoughts about this? Let me talk a little bit more about prarabdha karma. The karma of the unfructified past impressions, sanchita karma, and the karmas of the future that might set up in a particular lifetime, agami karmas. These are both roasted in the fires of liberation. One of the things the Jnani knows is no change of circumstance is going to make it any better. There's complete detachment from the world. They've also given up control. There's nothing to be gained by restraining. There's nothing to be gained by acquiring. So you put the robot, the body, mind, intellect, on automatic pilot. Let it live out its prarabdha karma, the karma of this life. Shankara uses the image, it's like a hunter who sees a tiger in the bush, draws the arrow and shoots it, and the tiger moves. And, oh my God, it's a sacred deer or a cow. Cannot draw the arrow back. So you chose this body, those parents, this particular cultural context, all of it. And we're impelled into the body by, maybe this time I'll win. Then yoga dawns on the mind, you go, it doesn't matter. But the body will continue. You can't pull the arrow back. Don't worry about your job. Don't worry about relationship or lack thereof. Don't worry about babies or no babies. Let it be. And let this deep intuition guide you. Person of steady wisdom is impelled by the force of the past and the desires of other people. They no longer have a business plan for life. And enjoy. Sarvam kalpidam Brahma. It's all God. It's all good. Any thoughts on this? I'll end here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari